Hello, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to reach out to you. And I'm very happy to join you today in this webinar. We are going to talk about a very important topic. And as we would say in character formation, a hallmark of a great school is the school's effort to reach out to the parents. Okay? Ang isang eskwelahan magaling, mahusay kung bukas sila dun sa idea na they will work with the parents, collaborate with the parents. Okay? And that's what we're going to talk about, engaging the parents who are the primary educators of the children. Of course, the end goal is at the end of our 3-hour seminar today, you will be able to formulate your own homeschool partnership program. Now, 3 hours is not easy, as you know very well. So along the way, magkakaroon tayo ng a little break. Maybe in the middle, I will give a little break by showing you a video or two just to pause a bit. And for those who need to go to the washroom, if you need to go to the um, to get your water, things like that. No, but I hope that really by the end of this session, you will have very clear ideas on number one, bakit ba kailangan natin mag-collaborate with the parents, or why should we engage with the parents? Okay. If there's still time, I'm going to give you practical tips on how to put in place engagement with the parents in this pandemic. I mean, during this present setup that we find ourselves in. But more importantly, what I'm after is that at the end of this session, I hope you will come to realize, will come to admit and accept that ay importante nga ito. If we are to form the character of our students, then we need the support of the parents. Then we need the collaboration of the parents because we are not just after producing math, science, and English experts. Okay? We are after producing good men and women. Alam nyo naman ang nangyayari sa ating bansa, sa ating society. There's a lot of bickering, division, election time now. So people are destroying each other. Please think about it. Ang mga kabataan, sila ang nai-impluwensyahan nitong very negative, very toxic environment that we see around us today. The message we have to put very clearly out there is, teka muna, character. Let's form the character of everyone, of all our young people, especially the next generation of Filipinos who are going to eventually take over Malacanang, Congress, and Senate. Yung mga estudyante ninyo sa loob ng classroom ninyo, sa loob ng Zoom room, Google Meet room, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Team room nyo ngayon, yun, yung mga kabataang yun, they are the ones who are eventually going to be our leaders. Please, let's make sure they are men and women of character so we don't have to deal with this kind of society, this kind of environment that is so toxic where lahat ng balita, you watch TV Patrol, 24 Oras, Action TV, halos araw-araw yun ang makikita natin. Corruption left and right, criminalities. We have to fix society, and one way of being able to do it is, let's make sure that the students in your classroom, we educate them in mind, and not just in mind, but especially in morals, because otherwise they're going to be a menace to society. So ito ang mga gusto kong pag-usapan with you this afternoon. Unang-una, I want to convince all of you, okay, that we need to engage the parents. We need to have home-school collaboration if you are going to be successful in forming character. I repeat what I said. We are not just here to produce math, science, English, social studies experts. Because in fact, you know what the pandemic has shown us? Pinakita ng pandemic na lahat ng kailangang matutunan ng mga kabataan nasa internet na. Nasa internet. Everything is available in the internet, online. And sometimes, mas exciting pa the way kids are taught how to add, subtract, and divide through the apps available, through websites and games that are available online. Mas exciting pa. But the internet cannot teach character. The internet cannot form the young people in faith or in virtues, in values. Tayo ang gagawa nun. The parents in the first place, and then we, the educators. And then, I'm going to talk about what to do. I'll show you some best practices from my own 30 years of teaching in a school that emphasizes homeschool collaboration. I'm sure many of you are familiar with PAREF schools, Parents for Education Foundation. I was one of the first graduates of Southridge, PAREF Southridge School. And that's the main principle of the school, that the school collaborates with the parents, or parents should collaborate with the school, because we are not just after academics. We are after the whole holistic formation. We want to see these young people not just grow up to be smart, but especially good human beings. And then, hopefully there will be time for that. I will even go into details on what to teach parents if we are to give them formation, and how to teach them if we are to provide formation to the parents. And then at the end, hopefully, I'll be able to discuss with you, where do we start then? If we want to implement or put in place a strong homeschool collaboration, parent relationship, and support, how do we go about putting it in place? Okay, so those are the things I want to discuss with you. In the first place, let's talk about the parents. Okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing because I want to be able to talk to faces. I know many of us have different experiences with parents, right? We've had parents who were so nice, so nice. We really like them. We love talking to them. But let's face it, like I have experienced in my 33 years inside the classroom, there are some parents that, let's just be charitable, are impossible. I mean, let's admit it. May ibang mga magulang na parang ang feeling nila is being good parents is protecting their children from anything that is tough and difficult, or yan, di ba? Nung bata ako, pag bumabagsak ang estudyante, ang mga magulang tatanungin ng anak, explain your poor grades. Anak ang tinatanong. Aba, ngayon parang iba na. Ang parents lulusob sa eskwelahan. Tatanungin ng teacher, "Ma'am, explain the bad grades of my kid." I mean, teka muna ma'am, binigyan ko lang siya ng grade according to how he did in the exam. But kailangan kong ipaliwanag. Tanungin niyo yung anak ninyo. Baka naman kasi hindi nag-aral talaga ang anak ninyo kasi binigyan niyo siya ng sarili niyang computer sa kanyang kwarto, na he can lock up the room and he can be playing games at 2 a.m. or watching Netflix at 1 a.m. or watching TikTok until 3 a.m. Eh, kasalanan ninyo ma'am. Bakit niyo siya binigyan ng sarili niyang computer with Wi-Fi in his own bedroom? Yan. Di ba? Pero hindi. Minsan meron tayong mga nakilalang magulang, not in your school. I'm talking about other schools. Minsan meron tayong mga magulang na pag ang kanilang anak bumagsak, Lahat sisisihin except their beloved child. Sisisihin ang teachers, hindi siguro kasi nagturo ng mahusay. Sisisihin ang eskwelahan, hindi maganda siguro ang curriculum. Sisisihin ang DepEd kasi imposible ang requirement. Abay, sisisihin lahat except their beloved child. Have you met parents like that? I'm sure you've not met parents like that in your fantastic school. I'm talking about yung kapitbahay ninyong eskwelahan. Ayan, marami sila doon. Marami silang mga ganong klaseng magulang na pag ang kanilang anak bumabagsak, lahat sisisihin except their um, lovely child who is such an angel, incapable of committing anything wrong, parang immaculately conceived, walang original sin. Yun ang isip ng some parents about their children, ano? Parang incapable of committing enemies. We've had parents like that. But here's a very important message we have to keep in mind. Okay, that parent acts like that because maybe hindi niya alam kung paano maging good parent. In fact, here's another kind of parent that I have met in my 33 years inside the classroom. Ayaw nilang maghirap ang kanilang anak. Ayaw nilang maramdaman ang hirap na pinagdaanan nila sa kanilang buhay para sa kanilang anak. They will try to protect their children, shield them from anything difficult or tough. Halimbawa, the school decides to suspend a student because of misdemeanor. Maliwanag, may offense ang bata. Aba, lulusob ang parents sa eskwelahan. Sasabihin, you have no right to punish my son, my daughter. Yan. They will shield them from anything that is difficult, tough, challenging. Kasi ayaw nila na maghirap ang kanilang anak tulad ng kanilang paghirap na pinagdaanan. Okay? Without realizing that at that moment, they are making their child soft and unable to face the real challenges that will come their way in real life. We have to make the parents realize that children have to learn how to face difficulties, challenges, hardships, and yes, even difficult consequences of their action. If it means sanction or punishment, the parents should make their children face strongly the consequences of their action, because one day they will live, things will happen in their real life, and they will have to be ready to face difficulties, challenges, and hardships. So we've had different kinds of parents, but you and I know that there are others who are so wonderful, fantastic, cooperative, supportive, and they collaborate with us. Ito yung mga parents na they do their job so well, na pag ang anak nila papasok na ng eskwelahan, ay natutunan na ng bata sa bahay ang kindness, ang courtesy. She knows how to say, good morning, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. May I help you, sir? They learned it at home already. The parents did their job of already forming their children in character. They know hard work. They know sacrifice. They know priorities. Kasi tinuro ng mga magulang sa bahay. We've had wonderful students like that who come inside their classroom and you can tell the parents did a great job. Now, our task now is, what can we do so that as a school, we get all the parents thinking along that line of the good parent that I gave as an example? Well, we can help them. And this may be the greatest service you as a school can give to society. Not just forming young people, but forming the parents to be good parents. So that's what we're going to talk about. The first thing I said I want to do is convince all of you it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile committing ourselves to this idea na let us engage the parents in education. Why? Look at what's happening in society today. Sino ang nagfo-form ng konsyensya, ng mindset, ng attitude ng mga kabataan? Number one ngayon is, sabi, supposed to be the parents. Kaya nga yung title ko kanina, Primary Educators of the Children. Di ba? Ganun nga naman talaga dapat eh. Bago pa pumasok ang bata sa loob ng classroom mo, dapat natutunan niya na sa parents, sa bahay, ang mga pagiging mabait, pagiging mabuti, courteous, kind, caring, all these things they should have learned at home. But here's the reality. In the Philippines, for example, dumadami tayong mga tinatawag na absentee parent. Yan. Absentee kasi yung tatay nasa Dubai, yung nasa nanay nasa Hong Kong. 'Di ba marami tayong ganyan ngayon? 11 million Filipinos working abroad. And you and I know, iba. Iba pag ang parents wala. Iba ang parents pag nandun, if they are the ones supervising, checking on their children that they are not playing computer games when it's time to study at home. Lalo na ngayon, online, what we used to do inside the classroom, disciplining, calling the attention of our students to pay attention. John, sit up straight. Joanna, eyes on the board. Joey, look at your book, read, finish it. Don't get distracted. We used to do that inside the classroom. Now we cannot. It's the parents now who are supposed to do that kasi sila ang nasa bahay. Because the kids are at home and the parents are supposed to be supervising. Pero kung ang parents absent, they are not there and nobody is supervising, then we have problems. Ay hindi magsasubmit ang assignment yung batang yan because no one is supervising at home, no one is following up. It's something which we cannot do from the other side of the screen. So here's the problem. Who is forming our children's conscience? Parents supposed to be. But we have many absentee parents. We have some parents who are so busy trying to survive. That's another thing. We have to realize, totoo yan. Lahat tayo apektado nitong pandemic. Lahat tayo nahirapan at nahihirapan because of the situation we find ourselves in. Many parents need a lot of understanding, patience, and even help because they are at home trying to survive doing work from home. Since nasa home sila, edi sila rin ang inaasahang gagawa ng house chores. Maglalaba, magsasaing, magluluto, maglilinis, maghahanda ng lamesa kasi nasa bahay sila. And at the same time, trying to do work from home. So it's a big challenge. And let's understand very well that many parents may be suffering greatly because of this situation. They need our support as well. They need our understanding. We cannot just always put the blame on them as well. That's the other side of the coin. Okay? And then here's another problem. If you are like me, who have been teaching for more than 30 years, you would have noticed it. Dumadami ang estudyanteng pumapasok ng classroom natin who come from broken families. It's a painful reality, but it is the reality. It is happening. We have more and more students coming inside our classroom and they come from irregular situation. The father abandoned the family. The mother is with somebody else. I mean, I have seen that go up in numbers in the last 10 years. There was one school na tinuruan ko, 60% of my students come from broken families. And that's a challenge for us teachers because then sometimes the child comes inside our classroom And he or she is not looking for math, for science, for English. He or she is looking for meaning of life. Why do these things happen? He or she is looking for answers to basic questions. Why am I in this world? Why did my father leave us? Why is my mother with somebody else? Why? Some children come inside our classroom with big questions in their mind, grappling with life's biggest questions, and they really don't care much about addition, subtraction, multiplication that day when they enter your Zoom room, your Google Meet room. We need to support the parents. We need to help these children. So, who is forming our children's conscience? Sabi ng research, ang lakas ng impluensya ng media sa mga kabataan. Netflix, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all these videos that they watch, all the hours they spend in front of the television affect their conscience, their mindset, their behavior. And then, tayo raw, sabi ng research, we are supposed to help form the conscience of our children. Well, here's a problem in the Philippines. Dito sa Pilipinas, kung ano ang gusto ng Department of Education Secretary, parang yun ang nagiging highlight of our education. Na Dr. Kisumbing some years back, sabi niya, let's make character, values formation a top priority. Very nice. Tapos napalitan siya. Sabi ng next secretary, let's improve our science and English competency. Wait, another one came and understanding by design na tayo. Wait, let's change it to OBE. Wait, let's change. Kung ano ang gusto ng Secretary of Education, yun ang nagiging highlight ng Hindi pa nga naintindihan ng ibang teachers ang UBD, nandiyan na yung OBE. Hindi pa naintindihan yung OBE, nandito na yung this is what's happening. And para bang kawawa naman tayo, no? Nalilito na tayo. Because we need to comply with the requirements of the Department of Education. So, who is forming the conscience of our children? Parents, media, school? Ay, sabi ng research, barkada. Ang lakas ng impluensya ng barkada sa mga kabataan. And then, the environment. Lalo na we are in this situation. Online learning, yan. Online learning, kaya ngayon ang mga kabataan, mas matindi ang kanilang excuse na they have to be in front of the computer. Dati kasi, di ba, madaling sabihin, bakit nandiyan ka na naman sa computer? Mag-aral ka nga, buksan mo ang libro mo. Ang pag-aaral ngayon nasa computer. So now you can have a child really spending the whole day in front of the screen. And with this comes the exposure to all sorts of, all kinds of media, games, video games, yan. Historically, this environment that the young people are growing up in is described as the most pernicious, insidious, and clandestine. In the way the environment manipulates mindsets, distorts values. This is what is happening because of exposure in the internet, online. They can be exposed to wrong ideas from all over the world, especially from the Western world. Ideas like love wins. Yan, di ba? Basta nagmamahalan ng dalawa, kahit babae, lalaki, lalaki, aso, aso at baba. I mean, really, this is happening now. You have somebody in United Kingdom, in England, who sabi niya, ang love niya is sarili niya. So, nagpakasal siya sa sarili niya. absurd. And that is the kind of that's the kind of values that the young people are growing up in. Or, for example, abortion. The Philippines is the only country now that does not allow abortion. And so they read about this. Countries do not even call it abortion or murder. They call it women's rights, reproductive rights, the right of the woman over her body. Teka muna, murder yan eh. Pinatay mo yung 15-week-old na bata dyan sa sinapapunan mo. Murder yan. No, they call it the right of the woman over her body. This is the kind of environment that the young people are growing up in, where their values are being distorted in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Viber, the movies that they watch. That's why we say historically the environment has become pernicious, insidious, and clandestine. So, teachers, when you are with your students inside the classroom, inside the Google Meet room, please realize we are not just facing screens, little faces there in the screen. We are facing the future generation. We are facing people, men and women who have souls, whom we are counting on to make a difference in the world and to change society. We are not in private practice. We are in the helping and caring profession, a service profession to help people enhance the quality of their lives. This idea is from Dr. Harry Wong. Pag tinanong ka, anong trabaho mo? Ay, don't just say you're a teacher. Sabihin mo, you are engaged in the business of enhancing lives. Because that's what we do as teachers. Kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan mo, we are engaged in the business of enhancing lives. But if we are to do that successfully, we need to collaborate with the parents, the primary educators of their children. After talking about the environment, the crisis in character, the need to form character more than just teaching subjects, we should be able to come to the conclusion, ay oo nga, kailangan nga natin ang tulong ng mga magulang. We need the parents to support us in what we're doing, as we are here in order to support them in what they are supposed to be doing. Why do we say parents are the primary educators of their children? Children only come from a father and a mother. And then God coming into the picture, giving the soul. But parents are the ones gravely responsible for them. That's why they are the primary educators of their children. Parents, they have a deep biopsychological connection. They have more time and they have one-on-one contact with the children, which we, educators, may not necessarily have all the time. I mean, we do not enjoy this privilege of being with the student once we dismiss them or when they are not inside our classroom. But the parents have. That's why we need the parents to do their part and collaborate with us if we are to succeed in this idea of forming character. Ultimately, the parents are responsible for all the education of their children. That's why if you are to have a strong parent homeschool program, parenting program, well, of course, the first thing is to call the parents for an assembly and make them realize, mothers and fathers, we expect this of you. Okay? Remove the idea. We need to let the parents know. Remove from your mind this wrong idea na, aba, pag dineposit ko ang anak ko sa eskwelahan, kayo nang bahala dyan, ha? Kaya nga ako nagbayad ng tuition eh. Kayo nang bahala dyan. Ay, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. In the first place, as we said earlier, dapat pagpasok pa lang nila sa eskwelahan natin, natutunan na ng mga kabataan dapat sa bahay ang kindness, courtesy, and but if you don't have this um, way of letting the parents know that ito ang expectation mo, you will continue or you will meet with a lot of the problems that I mentioned earlier of problematic parents, no? The school and its teacher mentors assist the parents. We're here in order to assist the parents. For example, the parents cannot teach math, science, and technical subjects. Diyan tayo papasok. Okay? And then, the parents cannot teach their children yung social skills of when a kid is with other kids, with other people. But that's where we come in again. We see them inside the classroom with other kids, with other human beings. And so we will have to be the ones teaching them the social interaction, getting along with everyone, saying sorry if you hurt another person, saying thank you if you receive a favor from those things. We are in a position to be able to teach because that's what the school is. They come to school to be with other people, with other kids. And so we are in a position to teach that. But the other things, we expect the parents to do the task of forming them in um, kindness and goodness and courtesy and respect. So we have to make the parents realize this. They are more significant than any other educator. They have to do their part. They don't just deposit their children in our classroom expecting that that's it. Kayo nang bahala, nagbayad na ako ng tuition. That is a wrong idea and we've got to tell the parents very clearly, school doesn't work that way. It has got to be a continuing partnership. School, parents, collaborating together, partnering together for the sake of the children. Look what this Department of Education in England saw in their studies. At home, good parenting has a significant positive effect on children's achievement. Sabi nila, pag ang parenting daw sa bahay is done well, uy, magaling ang performance ng bata. The academic achievement of the student, not just the personal performance, not just the personal character, but even their performance in academics. This is what else they saw. What parents do with their children at home, it's much more significant than any other factor. We have to tell the parents this. They play a very important role. What they do at home, how they supervise, how they discipline, how they raise their children at home has more significant in how the kid is going to do inside the classroom. I'm going to pass on the whole slides. I think that are around 150 slides in this presentation, and I'm going to pass it on to you so that you can take note of these sources, references, and you can Google them and download and read the whole article, because I'm going to be flashing on screen many times many of these interesting articles that talk about research done on parenting and homeschool partnership. Parent involvement in their children's education is the single best predictor of student success. Sabi ni Henderson, who researched on this. Family involvement makes a difference in school success. So, this is what North Carolina State University, Brigham Young University, University of California, 2012 showed in the research, in their joint research. Parental involvement, which includes checking homework. Yan, di ba? Ginagawa ng mga parents yan. Good parents do that. Oh, nagawa mo na ba yung assignment ninyo? Sabi sa calendar ninyo, submission nyo on Friday, yung online classes, asynchronous. Sabi dito sa calendar, Friday submission. Nagawa mo na ba? 2 araw na lang yan. Huwag kang gagawa on the last day. Yan, parents, we have to count on them. Letting kids know importance of school, di ba? Good parents will do that. Anak, mag-aral kang mabuti ha. Kailangan maganda ang performance mo dahil nakasalalay diyan ang yung pagpasok sa UP, sa Ateneo, sa big school, sa dream university mo. Titingnan nila yan, yung mga grades mo nitong high school. If parents talk like that to their kids, then that's parental involvement. That's the kind of support na kailangan natin na ibigay nila. Discussing school activities at home. All these, parental involvement has a more powerful influence on students' academic performance than school programs. Okay? Kasi minsan schools find ways of making the students do better. Remedial classes, yan. Anong tawag natin doon? Minsan meron pa tayong tinatawag na yung extra classes given, tutorial classes given to the students to prepare them for an exam. Okay, they are good, they're useful, pero sabi nitong research, nothing beats parents themselves checking on their homework, talking about the importance of school to their children, discussing school activities at home. We have to get the parents to understand this. In fact, I hope in this online setup, you already held, and if you have not done so yet, please make sure you schedule one soon. You should gather or you should assemble your parents. You should call your parents for an assembly. If you have to do it through Zoom, through online, through Google Meet, assemble them and make very clear to them your expectations of them in this online setup. That you expect the parents to be checking on their children about the calendar of submission, about the requirements. In fact, if you have not done so yet, but I'm sure you've done it already, you should send a copy of your requirements, for example, in the subjects. Parents should have a copy of that. They should know that their child is supposed to be submitting this by this time, preparing for these exams by this time, that this quarter is going to end on this time, and therefore, in other words, you expect the parents to be on top of whatever requirements you're giving the students. As I said, what we used to do inside the classroom, we cannot do it. We expect the parents to be the ones to help us in that one now because we cannot do it from the other side of the screen. So, as I said, there should have been a parent orientation on how to support your child during this online setup. And if you have not done so yet, it's not late to do it in January if you have to. Even if you're already in the middle of the school year, that will greatly facilitate your collaboration with the parents, and the parents will have an easier time supporting what you are doing. But if you have not done that, the parents can rightfully say, well, I didn't know. Hindi naman kami sinabihan na kailangan pala naming i-check ang aming anak dito sa schedule ng kanilang submission. One way of getting the parents to collaborate with us closely is, I'm going to give that later as a very clear indication, communication. We have to communicate very clearly to them our expectation, and then give them ideas. How can you support your child given this online setup? For example, dapat nabigay nyo na sa mga parents. Parents, please tulungan ninyo ang anak ninyo na magkaroon ng devoted corner for attending online classes. And it's got to be um, a place where your child can sit down for a long time, because they have to attend synchronous classes, and then they have to be doing asynchronous work. And so that place cannot be the bedroom, for example. That place cannot be the living room where there is television running every so often, and it can be disturbing. You parents have to help your child find a peaceful corner that is conducive for serious study. That is a minimum support that we expect from you, dear parents, given this online setup. Okay, parents' effort, sabi nitong another study, this time from University of Leicester and University of Leeds in 2010, parents' effort is more important for a child's educational attainment than the school's effort, which in turn is more important than the child's own effort. You see, um, hindi pwedeng ipasa na lang ng mga magulang sa eskwelahan ang ang trabaho, ang task, ang responsibility. If they are told this very clearly, studies have shown parents that you are more important, your effort is more important for the child's educational attainment, then they will do their part. Then they will stop just counting on the teacher, the school, uh, with the mindset na, aba, nagbayad, kaya nga kami nagbayad ng tuition. No. Sabi nitong study, it's eye-opening, you know. Parental involvement is equal to spending $1,000 more per student. Yung eskwelahan trying to come up with more programs, spending more money to be able to make the student learn and pay more attention and study better, sabi ng research. No, if the parents get involved, you're going to save $1,000 per student. In Philippine money, that's 50,000 pesos for every one student. And that's for every 100 students, that's saving 5 million pesos. For 500 students, that's saving 25 million, 1,000 students. And I know some schools with 2,000 students, 3,000 UST has 47,000 students. But if parents get involved in a school with 1,000 students, you're saving 50 million pesos. That's how important, valuable parental involvement is. Okay. Okay, let's go to Philippine Study. I've been pointing out studies from abroad. But okay, let's look at Dr. Quinali Chua. Many of you are familiar with her. She writes in, I think, Philippine Star or Inquirer. She has a column, and she made this study. Pinag-aralan niya, family conditions for student success. Students will be successful. She studied successful students, and then pinag-aralan niya yung background, yung family. And these are the things she discovered. In a 5-year study of 200 successful teenagers, sa bahay daw, there's attention, there's communication, there's discipline. And then there's a special relationship of spouse and children. Loving relationship inspires growth and excellence. You see how important it is that at home there is that balance, there is that love, there is that support, attention, communication, discipline, special relationship. Families that have that chances are the kid will be successful in school. That's what Queen Alichua discovered. Okay, so let's talk about what can we do. I'm going to give you best practices. I'm going to share with you my own personal, as a class advisor for many years, what I did, especially in being able to reach out to the parents, to be able to connect with the parents, and how those things that I did greatly helped me um, in being able to achieve the objectives inside the classroom. The slides will point out every so often like this, ano, mga good reading materials that I encourage you to explore, and then to Google, and then to download, and then to read, and then you're going to be enriched by the ideas that you'll be able to get from here, or this other research done by the UK government, the review of best practice in parental engagement. And then, um, in the introduction, it was mentioned that I was a founding president of CEP Philippines, Character Education Partnership Philippines. One of the things we do, which I hope your school one day will consider, is accrediting schools of character. Okay. And we use the 11 principles of CEP, which is based in Washington, D.C. Now they changed their name to character.org. But CEP continues to have these 11 principles. And that's what we use in our accreditation of schools of character. And principle number 10, 11 principles means, uh, what does it mean to be a school of character? The answer to that is 11. Kung meron ang eskwelahan mo nitong 11 na to, you must be a school of character. And number 10 is this, exactly what we are talking about. You are a school of character if you engage the parents and community members. If you reach out to them in order to help you attain the objectives for the students, then you're a school of character. So it can be a whole school approach. I mean, well, when I give you some ideas later on, some of them are classroom setting, what I'm going to share with you, my personal strategies. But some can be whole school approach, no? Like um, one of the schools of character in the US, the way they engage the parents is nanghingi sila ng volunteers among the parents. Volunteers to sign up to be welcomers. Yung tatayo lang sa entrance ng eskwelahan to welcome students as they come in. Some volunteers do it on Monday, others signed up for Tuesday, others signed up for Wednesday, but the environment totally changed when you have parents doing the welcoming, um, welcoming everyone with a smile. It changed totally the environment, and that's direct participation of the parents, collaboration of the parents. Single most important factor for engaging parents is the enthusiasm of the school head for this. So, morning greeting ang ginawa nitong school head. Naghingi siya ng volunteers among the parents. If the school head commits himself or herself to this idea, I'm going to make my school a school of character, that is the clincher. That's what will totally change everything. You know, something I always did as a class advisor, the date here is June 5, 2008, but I was doing it year after year. And I would go to the registrar's office 1 week bago magbukas ang school year. And then I would ask for the email addresses of the parents, because I'm going to share a letter. I'm going to send a letter, a welcome letter to all the parents of my students 1 week bago pa lang magbukas ng classroom. And it will contain 3 paragraphs. First paragraph, I will introduce myself to them. I will let them know who I am. I'm going to assure them that I know what I'm doing. Now, that's very important as you, teachers, pag pumunta ka sa clinic ng isang doktor, what do you usually see sa waiting room? Aba, makikita mo naka-display ang kanyang diploma. Para bang assuring you that I know what I'm doing, I am an expert. Tapos i-display niya rin doon yung mga certificates that he received or yung mga certificate of participation in conferences, in congresses, in training seminars. I-display niya yun lahat. Why? Because the doctor needs to assure you that he knows what he's doing. Trust me. Para bang sinasabi ng doctor, I'm an expert. When you go to the waiting room of a lawyer, aba ganun din, makikita mo, naka-display, diploma, certificates, awards, recognition received. Yan. That they were speaker in a conference. Naka-display yan, yung kanilang mga achievements. They want to assure you, I know what I'm doing, I'm an expert. Well, my dear teachers, I wonder why when you go to the classroom, hindi mo makikita naka-display ang diploma ng teacher. Sabi ni Harry Wong, why not? Display your diploma. Display your certificates. Assure the students that you know what you're doing. Message you're giving them, I'm an expert. Trust me. Well, but parents don't come to our classroom, but we can send them a letter. And that's what I do. I would send them a letter 1 week before the school year opens. First paragraph, the message is, trust me. I'm an expert. I know what I'm doing. Let's work together. Do that. Let yourself be known by the parents. Let them be impressed by you. And you will see they will more willingly support you. Paragraph number 2, I will tell them my contact details. I will even give them my cell number and the best time to call me up, my local number. Now, I know some of you don't like the idea of cell number being known by the parents. No problem, don't do it. I'm simply telling you, this is what I did, and it did me a lot of good. The parents have a very easy time communicating with me, whether it's for a concern or to say thank you or to say they're very happy or to say they want to donate to the school some materials. I mean, they find it very easy to connect with me because second paragraph, I tell them how to contact me by phone, by cell phone, by landline, by and exactly what time of the day would be best to give me a call, my email address. And then paragraph number 3, I would direct them to the website of the class where I will post announcement so that if they have any question, before you even text me, before you even ask me, go to the website. Chances are the answers are there. Calendar of activities, the upcoming activities of the school, announcements that you want to make. That's the website. And then normally in my letter to the parents, I would tell them, please make sure your son. I was teaching in an all-boys school for 20 years. I would tell them, please make sure your son brings with him his PE attire on day 1 because we're going to do a lot of team building games. Yan. Okay. Even in the online setup, you can do it. I mean, enrollment, most likely they have to put their email address in the records. So get the email addresses from the registrar's office and send an email to all the parents telling them, I am the teacher, I am an expert, I have a degree, I have been teaching for many years, and I'm excited to work with you in making this a successful year for your son, for your daughter. Okay, This is very important. I mentioned earlier, crucial is communication. And many parents appreciate this very much. Appreciate it so much because hindi pa nga nagbubukas ang school year, here is a teacher reaching out to them already. And then the last paragraph there, I look forward to working closely with you for the rest of the school year. Pinapaalam mo na kagad na, hey parents, let's work together. Hindi lang ako mag-isa dito. I need you to work closely with me. It is my hope that with your support, we can make your son's class one of the best there is in Southridge. So that's the first thing I would do. I would send them a letter. And then, day one, my students come inside my classroom and on top of their desk, nandun ang information sheet that I want them to fill up because I want to get to know as many things about them on day one. I want to get to know them very well. I want to know what are your hobbies? What are the awards that you've received? When is your birthday? So that we will make sure we get to greet you on your special day. And then I ask a lot about their parents, even their wedding anniversary, their job, where do they work, or is your mother a full-time housewife? How many kids are there? How many siblings do you have? And um, brothers and sisters with their ages, and I will get to know, are you the eldest? Are you the youngest? Are you the middle child? I want to get to know as many about them as I can on day one because we're going to work as a family here. And then I need to get to know how to contact your parents easily, whether it's through their landline or their cell phone, because communication is going to be crucial. So this is my classroom. If this is a talk on class advisory, I would have discussed with you itong reward system ko. But this is not class advisory, and so I will have to skip most of these. But for many years, my class was grade 5B, and our name was 5B Best Bets. And our motto was be the best. So it worked. The students did their best to make the school year really their best school year in Southridge. Um, okay, well, on day one, sabi ng research, three things are on top of the mind of every student on day one. Number one, am I in the right classroom? Number two, can I sit anywhere? And number three, top third question on their mind, who are you as a teacher? What kind of teacher are you? Sabi ng research, those are the top three questions on the mind of all the students on day one. Question number one, am I in the right classroom? You should know, I wrote a letter to your parents last week. Hindi pa sila nakakapasok ng classroom ko, binigay ko na yung answer. Because I wrote them, I will be your class advisor. So, this is my classroom. You would know this is. Pero sometimes, some parents are not able to submit their email address. Maybe your parents did not receive the email. Okay, it's okay. Here's the class list. You see, hindi pa sila nakakapasok ng classroom. I answer question number one. Your name is here. Congratulations. Come in. Welcome. Welcome. So I answered it even before they entered the room. Question number two. Can I sit anywhere? I know. I have a reserved seat here for you. You see, there's the seat plan. Hindi pa nga nakapasok ng classroom. Sagot ko na yung tanong number two. Can I sit anywhere? No. I reserved a seat for you. And not only that, you have an assignment. You see, you are going to be in charge of the garbage while your classmate will be in charge of line. This one is desk alignment. This one is collecting reply slips. This one is hindi pa sila nakakapasok ng classroom, maliwanag na ang mensahe. Here, everyone will have a role to play. Okay? We have to work together. We will have to run the class like a well-oiled machine. And for that to happen, everyone has a role to play, a job assignment. Don't worry, next quarter, iba naman ang job assignment mo. Hindi na ikaw ang garbage collector. We will assign somebody else for that. Iba naman ang sayo. So, but even before they enter the classroom, the message is, let's work together. This is going to be a team. And number three, who are you as a teacher? I answered that question because bago pa mag-ring ang bell, like Harry Wong advises, I would stand by the door. No one can enter the classroom except through me. I have to um, greet them way before the students start arriving. And some of them I would recognize and I would shake the hand and I would say, come in, come in. I've been waiting for you. You're very lucky. Some others I would just say, good job. This is your great year. It's going to be a most memorable year for you. Come in, come in. You are so lucky to be in this class. It will be your most memorable. I tell them all those lies. And they believe the lie because that afternoon itong grade 5 boys uuwi ng bahay excited to tell their parents, I'm in the best class. I'm in the best class. And the letter I gave the parents and the first day experience of the students will make it very clear to the mind of the parents, ay napakagaling ng teacher na to. Let's support him. Let us do whatever he asks us to do. And so it works. You engage the parents when they see that you really are after the best of their children, the best interests of their children. On my last year in Southridge, walang gustong kumuha ng grade 7D. So sabi ko, sige, ako na lang class advisor niyan. Anyway, many of them passed through my grade 5 class 2 years ago. So, but after that, I left for the University of Asia in the Pacific in 2009, and that's where I have been ever since. Okay, so that's my classroom. And when I was a class advisor, I saw very clearly how computer games addiction was affecting many students. I mean, really, if there is no parent supervision at home, the kid would rather play computer games or surf the internet or go to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and TikTok the whole time if the parents are not there. So I would organize for my class anything but computer games, all sorts of activities to get them out of the computer games. So we would have, I would write letter to the parents saying, on Saturday, the class will go to fully booked in BGC to spend an afternoon in the bookstore. And we will be able to get 15% discount because the owner is a very good friend, my former student in Southridge. Or we would simply organize an overnight camp out in the school where they play basketball, futsal, dodgeball until 12 midnight, anything to get them out of the computer games. Or the class will go to Enchanted Kingdom this Saturday. If you allow your son to join, please return the reply slip together with his payment. Yan. I would write a letter to the parents. And some parents are so nice, so nice. They send payments for two, not just for one. They will allow their son to go and then they want to pay for my ticket. And then you have 3, 4, or 5 parents doing that. Uy, kumita pa ako. Meron pa akong pambili ng snacks. Because they appreciate very much what you're doing. They know that the teacher is doing his best to get the kids away from computer games. I mean, really, kahit na magastos ang Enchanted Kingdom, that is far more beneficial to the students than the whole day in front of the computers playing games where the games are violent. Most of the time these kids play games yung the more you kill, the more points you get, the higher level you go. Yan. Grand Theft Auto, Counter Strike, World of Warcraft, ML. I mean, all of these are okay, fun entertainment, but too many times we have seen they foster um, not just violent behavior, and sometimes it doesn't even do that, but simply the difficulty in the students' ability to concentrate, to focus, their ability to do difficult tasks. Reading, for example, writing, they become um, parang allergic, na-allergic sila doon because reading and writing are not as exciting as killing zombies, for example, or um, as Clash of Clans. That's why the parents appreciate very much this anything but computer games agenda that I have. And I explain it to the parents. Parents, I will be organizing many things throughout the year that will help provide alternative to computer games. Okay? Because I also tell the parents that it's not enough to just prohibit them. Diba? Some good parents will do that. Pagbabawalan ang computer games. Well, okay, but it's not enough to just say no. You also have to provide alternatives. I mean, they also want to have rest and recreation. The rest and recreation doesn't mean just sleeping at home without doing anything, which in fact you can sometimes think is very unproductive. No, no computer games this weekend kasi bibisita tayo sa bahay ni Lola. Ayan. Kasi pupunta tayo sa mga kamag-anak and we will have well, I want you to meet your relatives. Okay, that's nice. That's an alternative. It's not enough to just say bawal. Stop the computer games. Stop the TikTok. I keep on talking TikTok, because one is because the young people are very addicted to, many times they can spend a lot of time for a 15-second video, dance moves that they learn for 1 hour or 2 hours. They will do that in order to be able to post the perfectly crafted 15-second video. Something you need to know: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, their algorithm is designed for maximum addiction. I really, I tell you, and some adults know what I'm talking about because they can sometimes find themselves spending hours also just scrolling, liking here, liking there, commenting here, sharing there. Yan. It's very addicting because that's how the engineers designed it, especially TikTok. It's designed for maximum desire to get the number of followers and likes and comments and shares. And so that's why anything but computer games, and the parents appreciate it very much. So what happens inside my classroom? We would celebrate birthdays, we would celebrate achievements, and this is the magic of homeschool collaboration. This is the magic of parents being very supportive, very engaged in helping you. I just have to usually text three. I just have to text three moms or three dads, telling them, ma'am, the class intends to have a celebration party this Friday lunchtime because we were champions in the intrams basketball. I would just have to text three, and those three will text other parents and will say, ako nang bahala sa drinks. Would you like to take care of the pizza? Are you okay to bring burgers for the kids, for the boys? I mean, they are just too eager to help, to support, to donate food if they have to, because they know what you're doing. They know that you are sincerely and genuinely after the interest of the students. That's the magic of parental involvement and parent support, when they see very clearly that you really are genuinely after the good of the students. They are willing to do anything for you. And so my class, throughout the year, there would be so many celebrations because of achievements. There would be many McDonald's party to build camaraderie. I mean, sometimes it's not enough to you don't have to wait for the next birthday. Sometimes you just have to tell the parents, the class decided to just celebrate the end of the quarter achievement, the fact that many students made it to the honors list. And so on Friday, we welcome donations of food from parents for the class. And normally we would invite many other teachers to join us and some other school officers to join us, because there is just so much food sent by the parents because they are just too eager. So, okay, ABC, anything but computer games. And if you tell the parents this program, they are just also excited to help and to let their kids go, because they too, I tell you, parents are concerned about their kids being addicted to computer games, being so immersed in their technology, in their gadget, in their tablet, in their cell phone, that if they know what you're doing, they will be very excited to support you. What the parents do at home will have a big repercussion even on the not just the performance of the kid inside the classroom later on, but in their life. So whatever the parents do at home um, will determine, in fact, the success or failure of the kid in real life. And that's why it's important that in our orientation for parents, we pass on that message to them. Parents, you are very crucial in the education of your children. Okay. And the school gives premium to your role as primary educators. Okay, I will just end this part on my own personal experience in engaging parents. But some of you may be asking, mga ginagawa kong yun, mga ABC, mga parent-parent, does it work? Okay, the way to answer that question is I'm going to show you um, snippets from my websites, my class websites, to answer the question, all those things that I did they work? Do they work? Are they important? So here, for example, PQF stands for Parents Quarterly Forum. You see, Southridge, which is a PAREF school, holds premium the formation of the parents. That's why we call them 4 times a year to attend parenting talks. That's why we call it Parents Quarterly Forum. And we would have a speaker. 4 times a year, they would have to come to attend one on a talk on spiritual formation of their children, another talk on the academic or academic performance of your children. So it can be a speaker talking about how to make your children fall in love with math, how to make your children lifelong readers, something related to academics, how to help your children in their study habits. Yan. Number three is moral development. So this can be something on how to develop your children in self-control. Yan. Or a talk on helping your children develop kindness. So it's on moral development. The fourth is actually a father and son activity. And it will depend on the parents when they decide what will be our father-son activity. Will we go-karting as fathers and sons together? Or are we going to go to mountain climbing? Or are we going to do an overnight camping? So it's the parents who decide on that. And I would always get 100% of the parents in my class attending the first PQF. 100%. While other classes will have a tough time getting 60%, 70%. Parents would usually have excuse. I was invited once to speak to a top school, one of the most respected schools in the country, and they have 6,000 students. And I was invited to give a talk on the urgency of character formation at home. And 6,000 parents in an auditorium, iniisip mo, ang dami sigurong darating yan. Hindi. Ang dumating lang out of the 6,000 families, there were only around 200 represented. 200. That's very, very small. It's not even 10% of the whole population of the school. And yung 200 na yon, some of them are both mothers and fathers pa. So talagang sobrang konti. Schools have a tough time getting parents to come for a talk, for a parenting talk. But not me. I would get 100% because I get the parents to be very engaged, to be very supportive, to collaborate. So, our first PQF, I usually would get 100% consistently year after year. The second, while the other classes are in the 40% attendance, 50%, mataas pa rin yung sa akin, 86%, which means in a class of 25, tatlo lang ang sigurong hindi makakapunta. Everyone else is going to be there. And that's still very high. So, does it work? I guess so. And then 86% of our students end up in the honors list. It's not just because, definitely it's not because we lowered the standards. It's because the parents are engaged, collaborative, and they're helping their kids at home. They're doing their part. No wonder the students will be successful. So the answer is yes, it works. It works. Okay. And then this is another school year, another batch, but the same. Attendance to PQF, Parents Quarterly Forum, would be 100%. And then in the website, which is made really for the parents, all the things they need to know can be posted there. There was a contest held, book fair, essay writing contest, and all the 9 finalists are from our class. The answer to the question is, yeah, it works. It works. And then every so often, I would have to thank the parents for all their support in making, uh, for example, our classroom decoration. Many parents are just too excited to donate or to lend or to send materials in order to help us. That's why we would receive this recognition for cleanest classroom, highest pointer for Search for Class Excellence Award. And many of these, I would say, thanks to the support of the parents. And in fact, every so often, that's the announcement I give there. Thank you to the parents there for all their support, for all their donations, for um, their collaboration. Okay, so um, this is a sample. These are just sample pages in the website. If I'm talking about the class advisory, I would be talking about the strategies for class advisory. But since this is on parenting, I just tackled that aspect of getting the parents to help you out and collaborate with you. Okay, so we can leave this and go to our next section of our discussion. Yan. That's the 5B best bets. And year after year, that became the name of my section, my class with the grade 5 boys. But always getting the parents to collaborate. Okay, so what can you do? Here are very important principles to keep in mind in your effort to reach out to the parents. There should be communication. One way of being able to open communication, if for example you have a hard time getting the parents to come to school, if it's in the face-to-face setup, or even just attend a an assembly via Google or via Zoom, okay, make sure you send out communications to them through memos, handouts, or newsletters. Okay? I mean, if you send out memos, parang napaka-business-like, ano? But through a newsletter, it's less imposing, and you can design your newsletter in a very welcoming way, very pleasant, that they would want to read it. But in the newsletter, you transmit to them the most important messages that you need to get across to the parents. It's in the newsletter where you can tell them, parents, please make sure you supervise your children in the use of the gadgets, in the use of technology, in the screen time. Parents, please make sure don't give gifts to your children computer games that are very violent, or even worse, that may have graphic, adult graphic drawings or animations, no? Because there are, by the way, no, there are computer games that like the main attraction is um, soft porn kind of pictures in the animation. So newsletters has to be on a regular day, include character conversations. Or this is what I mentioned earlier, orientation at the start of the school year. But even better yet, on the first day, the parents should receive a packet of documents, or um, all the documents they need to have, and then get the parents to sign that they have received the documents, which will include maybe the newsletter, the summary of the principles of the school, the expectations of the school for the parents, the calendar of requirements, if not for the whole school year, at least for, let's say, the next 2 months. This is the calendar. These are the days to keep in mind that your son, your daughter will need to prepare for exams or submit requirements or outputs. You give them all these things on day one and make them acknowledge that they have received, to do a reply slip or to do a confirmation email that they have received, so that you have it on record. Now this is very important, so that one day a parent comes to you complaining, Mr. Antoy, bakit bumagsak ang aking anak? Yan. You can easily tell them, ay ma'am, we gave you the calendar of requirements so that you can help your son, you can remind your son about those. But as you can see, he failed to submit on this day, on this day, on this day, as we indicated in the calendar that we sent you. In fact, you acknowledged that you received that document. And so we were hoping that you would be able to help your child prepare for those submissions. But he failed to submit in spite of the reminders in our synchronous classes. And we cannot give him any grade. So uh, you cannot be faulted for the parents cannot tell you, you should have told us, Mr. Antoy. We told you at the start of the school year. It's part of all the documents that we gave you. Okay, that's very important, especially the idea of The parents signing, acknowledging that they have received. Even better, a document that will say they have read, that they went through the documents, not just having received, but that they understand, and that they have read and they have understood the expectations for this year. Okay? How else can you open communication or have communication with the parents? Well, make sure that if they come to your campus, they will see the bulletin board with the announcements, the bulletin board with the most significant information they need to have. And then that the staff is not afraid to face the parents. Um, Teachers, something I failed to mention earlier, but I should have. Let us not look at the parents as people in the opposite side of the fence. Like as if may dalawang nag-aaway na magkabila ang um, sides of a war, and that they are on the other side and we are on the. No, we have to remove that mindset from our mind. We have to remove that from our mind, because the parents are not opponents. They are not enemies. They should be our partners. The parents just want the best for their children. And that is what we have become teachers for. We also want the best for these people entrusted to our care. You see, this is the reason why I like that expression. Teachers, you are not just given subjects to teach. You are entrusted with young people to take care of, to mold the minds of, to prepare their future to be successful. So, in PAREF, we keep a diary. I know many schools have done this already. In fact, diaries, the first publishers that printed diaries were the Bosconians, and many other schools copied it. And then later on, the printers can make the diary specific to your school by putting in your school calendar there in the diary. But it's very important that the diary, that's where the students write all the assignments, reminders, schedule of upcoming exams. And the teacher has to sign it at the end of the day to make sure that the diary is complete, that the student wrote everything that he needs to put in the diary. And then the student goes home, and the parents have to see the diary and be able to get informed that, oh, meron palang dadating na exam ha, sa next week ha, paghandaan mo. Oh, deadline na pala ha, dito sa, oh, we need to send payment pala for the interims shirt ha. Nandun sa diary yung mga reminders na yon, and the class advisor signs it before the student goes home, and the parents have to sign it, or at least one of the parents have to sign it, so that it's very clear that there is communication and that the parents are informed about the most important things. Most likely you also have that system, the diary system, but it works and it's good. And if we don't have it in place, it's brilliant to put it in place. It can greatly help you in being able to engage the parents. Here's another strategy. Schools should have a system of welcoming new families to the school. I mean, really, every year there are new parents, new students, right? Well, there should be a new parents orientation where we get them to know what we stand for as a school. What are our principles? What are our core values? What do we value most? And then the other things are secondary. You want them to know the history of the school? Okay, make somebody talk about that. But important, how do you expect the parents to collaborate with you, to support you, to push the cart along the same direction? That's the expression we use. We have to get the parents to join us in pushing the cart along the same direction. And then that's where we also usually inform them about the how do we compute for honor system, the honor system in the school, the recognition system, and then that's where they are told also the calendar for the school year, how to get in touch with us, how to bring up a concern, a complaint, or a feedback. And then you have to remind them feedback doesn't only mean negative. Okay, ma'am, sir, if you're happy with a teacher, with something that the school does, let us know. That would be greatly appreciated. But there should be a way of welcoming new families. I would have to pause a bit and face you, especially given this situation right now of the pandemic. Let me tell you, there are some schools that did not survive. In Cebu, I was told 36 schools, private schools, closed down because of this pandemic. The online thing is not for them. They could not cope. They just did not have the resources, or simply that parents did not enroll. But the fact that they enrolled in your school, they should be very much appreciated, and they have to feel it, that we really appreciate their loyalty, their trust, that of the so many options for them, of the so many other schools to choose from, they chose you. We welcome you to our school, to our family. I have been saying this in all the seminars this whole year of the pandemic. Um, Teachers today should be in marketing mode. We have to be in a PR mode, that we have to be conscious that we want to retain our students. We don't want them to leave our school, that we want them to continue trusting us, enrolling their kids in our school. We have to have that mindset right now, because this pandemic is making life difficult for so many people. Many are suffering economically, and it's very easy for a parent to say, magpa-public school na lang ako, libre pa. Hindi ko na kaya ang gastusin. We have to get them and win them uh, to love our school. That they should be able to say, hindi bali na. Kahit hindi libre, dito ko. Kasi sigurado ko sa formation that my child gets. Because the teachers are really so good. They are really caring. They are really after the best of my son, of my daughter. We have to tell teachers this. We have to be on a PR mode in this pandemic, in a marketing mode. Our concern is we should not lose more students to the public school or to the other schools, that we retain them and that they continue trusting us. Welcome new families, make them feel that you appreciate them, especially so because in that orientation, that will be their first exposure, contact, and that's very critical. They will form an opinion of our school based on how we welcome them. And that's what I mean by marketing mode. These parents are just going to be happy in the way you welcome them. They will tell their friends, "Uy, Mare, ang ganda nitong eskwelahan nito. Napakagagaling ng mga teachers. Very welcoming. I felt so welcomed warmly. Like I never did, or I never felt in the other schools of my children." That experience has to be very positive, and it's very critical. And then let's put ourselves in their shoes. They are also like new students. Okay? We have to have a program for new parents. We have to have an orientation, but not just any kind of orientation, but the kind of orientation that they feel that we are really so happy to have them as part of our family, that we are a family here. They need a sense of belonging and an orientation. Maybe some of them transferred their children to your school simply because lumipat din sila ng bahay. and you understand the feeling of wanting to belong in a new place. Well, the same thing. The parents also feel something like that. Okay, so in the case of the PAREF schools, we especially focus on new and young parents because they are going to be yung mga uh, anak nila nasa grade 1 pa lang. Ayan. They're starting in your school and they're starting the education of their children in your school. Think that these parents are going to be your partners for the next 12 years. That at any point, they will not think of putting their child anywhere else but here in your school because they feel they are partners with you. How do we do that? Let's make sure that they are made aware of what kind of school are we? What do we value most? How do we do things here? What is the culture of the school? All of them directed to making them fall in love. Fall in love with a school that they would like to be with us until their son, their daughter finishes basic education, until their child um, finishes in that school and not anywhere else. So, in the case of PAREF, we even interview the parents. It's not the child who is interviewed. In many schools, parang it's the child that has to qualify, right? You know, in PAREF schools, Southridge, Woodrose, Westbridge, Springdale, Southcrest, Northfield, and the 15 preschools, the parents are the ones who have to be interviewed. And in the interview, they are made aware these are the expectations that we have in PAREF. Expectations of the parents. We will require you to come to school 4 times a year to attend talks. We will require you to meet with the mentor of your son or your daughter. I'm going to talk about that later, the mentoring system of PAREF. We will require you to collaborate with us in the formation of your child. Are you committed to all these things? And then before the end of the interview, they are given a paper which summarizes all those commitments, and they have to sign it that yes, we are committed to this. We are committed to the PAREF principles of education, of collaboration. That's very important. The interview can be done by school officers, or in the case of Southridge, we have what we call senior parents who have been there for a long time. They understand perfectly well the spirit of the school and the principles of PAREF, and they are in a position to do the interviews. In the case of new entry level parents, new entry level meaning to say they may be new parents, but they transferred their child from another school to grade 5, let's say. So that's new entry level. And what we do is there is a peer coach that is assigned to them, like another parent who has been there for years, spend more time in the school, and know better, understand well what the spirit of the school is. And we assign a peer coach who can answer questions of the new parents. Okay? So this is very important. New parents orientation, I've discussed that already. Very nice because we've been doing it for years. It's such a standard thing. We know exactly how the whole program goes. It's usually one whole morning, and there is a graduate who will talk about his experience as a student in that school. We invite parents, a parent to come to testify on how much they appreciate very much the mentoring system. And then the principal will talk about the academic program of the school. The person in charge of formation will talk about the what do we do here in Southridge, for example, in order to achieve the formation of your students. The chaplain can have a time to talk about what are the services that he offers to the students. So it's like to do that one morning with the new parents, they get to have a very deep appreciation, not just understanding, but even a deep appreciation of, wow, I've put my son, my daughter in the best school. And they have to think that way. Then you have their support, you have their collaboration. They're ready to partner with you. And then we have the NPEP, New Parents Education Program, which is like, I think it's 3 Saturdays that the new parents will have to come to attend. And we make sure they get to attend all those talks on um, basically on the principles of education of PAREF, how they can help their children succeed, not just in academics, but in a holistic way in all aspects, no, of formation. Okay, well, this is the second hour that I've been talking. I'm going to just show two more videos as a way of giving you a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the mentoring system of PAREF schools, which is a unique feature of Southridge, Woodrose, Northfield. It's not a requirement for you to put in your school because it's a whole system by itself, but for you to know that there is such a thing as the mentoring system for the parents. Okay, so we're talking about mentoring system now. I'm going to share with you the mentoring system of the PAREF schools that is the heart of the parents homeschool collaboration, the parenting program of PAREF schools. Every student is assigned a mentor. We used to call it tutor, but then later on, tutor sounded like academics. No, now this is not about academics because the mentor of the student will chat with a student on a monthly basis, and they can talk about anything, but not just about academics. They can talk about the concerns, difficulties, problems, worries that the boy is going through, or he can talk about. They can talk about goals for academics, for at home, for relationship with the classmates. So it can be anything. And then the mentor will meet with the parents 3 times a year. In the first chat, they would talk usually about the goals. What can be our goals for your son for this year? And then the two others can just be a follow up on those goals that they talked about. How is he doing regarding those goals? And they are not just about academics. They should not just be academic goals like to pass the subject, to get good grades, to make it to the honors list. They're important, but they are not the only main concern. Especially the parents and the mentor should be talking about how can we help him overcome his laziness, yan, character. Um, how can we help him prepare himself for college now that he is already in grade 12 or grade 11? So it can be anything, and it's very much appreciated by the parents because they are made to be convinced that really the mentor is working on helping their son in the all boys school, in the all girls schools, their daughter achieve um, whatever goal it is that he or she has set for himself or herself. So, mentoring chats with students and their parents, that is a very crucial um, aspect of the parent formation, of course, especially of the student formation. Okay, so the arrangement is like this. At the start of the school year, they meet in order to set goals and strategies based on an assessment of the strengths and weaknesses of the child. In my case, when I meet the parents for the first time, I would usually ask them, can you tell me more about your son, and how he is at home? I'm here to listen first. So the first chat is more about getting to know better the child through the parents, because there are many things that we may not know from about the child just based on classroom experience, and the parents are just too happy to share. And then normally dun lalabas yung tulungan niyo yung anak namin na kasi masyado siyang addicted sa video games, ayan. O kaya parang ang hirap siyang um, al- tanggalin sa harap ng screen, especially pagka naumpisahan niya na yung K-drama series, yung uh, season 1, gusto niya kagad tapusin yung buong season. Yan. So we get to know better the son or the child through the parents. And then, as I've said, the two other chats are basically to assess and pursue the goals. Maybe they can come up with new strategies, new ideas on how to help the child, no? Or there may be new concerns, new problems that will arise. Biglang nagkaroon ng conflict with a classmate, and how can we help the child work things out, no? Things like that. So, and the parents appreciate that very much, even if it means more time on the part of the school to attend to the parents, and even if it also means more time on the part of the parents to go out of office, to go out of their way to meet with a mentor. So it's both sacrifice. I mean, sacrifice is needed on both sides, but in the end, it's one of the most appreciated aspects of PAREF formation. As I said earlier, you don't have to put something like this in place for everyone as a starter. You can, by the way, I have to emphasize the mentoring system applies to everyone. Okay? It's not just for students who are going through problems or problematic students. Kasi parang minsan in some schools, ganun ang idea nila. Kailangan ng student mentor, kailangan ng mentor ng student kasi uh, problematic student yan. Disciplinary student, disciplinary problem yan. No, the mentoring system is used for all good students or students with challenges, problematic students, or very almost ideal students. Everyone gets a mentor, and all the mentors do their best to meet with the parents. Okay, so what else can we do? We need to train the staff how to relate to the parents, and we have to let the staff, and when I say staff here, I don't just mean the teachers, I also mean the office staff, the maintenance people, the auxiliary staff, that when they see parents coming to our school, we welcome them warmly, we see them as partners, we see them as collaborators, we see them as part of the family, as allies, not as problems or meddlesome people. Train the staff to relate with parents, build key ingredients of homeschool collaboration. And here are, according to study, the ingredients of homeschool collaboration. Trust, respect, cordiality, and then the unity between school and home. Okay? This is very important, as I said, because we cannot avoid it. We may have some staff or teachers who are of that mindset na ang tingin sa parents is parang people in the other side of the fence. We have to think of them as partners, collaborators. Um, As I mentioned earlier, we have to be in the PR mode, marketing mode, because let's face it, let us face it, our school cannot survive without the parents choosing us. I mean, really, not just as I mentioned, 36 schools closing down in Cebu and all that, but the fact of the matter is, ay wala din tayong ipambabayad na salary ng teachers pag wala ang enrollment ng mga parents if they don't come to us. So our goal is we do this so well, we make the parents partners, collaborators, that they themselves will be our strongest marketing PR people. The parents themselves are going to tell their friends, Mare, ilagay mo yung anak mo doon. Napakagandang eskwelahan. Bring your children to that school. It's really different the way they take care of the students and the way they partner with us and the way they collaborate with us. It's really amazing. That is our end goal. I mean, okay, while I say for PR purposes, but it's not just for PR purposes either. It's what good educators do. They make the parents collaborators and partners. Okay, so we have come to that. We're down to the last 30 minutes. And in fact, at this point, what I'd like to do is encourage everyone. If you have any question that you want to ask, please type it in the chat box and we will see if I can immediately respond to them, or we can leave it for later in our Q&A. But please, if there are already questions you have in your mind, feel free to type them in the chat box as I go through this last part on, sige nga, how can we do this? Okay, first is we need to understand parents. Many of you are parents too. And so when I go to do this, some of you will say, oo nga, totoo yan. I have to come to admit, totoo yan. Here's the first thing. Most parents are universally described as caring deeply about doing a good job of being a parent. I mean, that's almost like a given. No parent wants to be a bad parent. Okay? Pero, ang problema nga is, sabi natin kanina, some parents, ang feeling nila, being good parents means protecting their children from any harm or from any difficulty or from anything that they don't like, that makes them unhappy. Ay, hindi. Minsan, what makes them unhappy is that they have to work harder. Okay, then the parents should not shield them from that. The children should learn how to work hard. Okay? So, but at the back of the mind of the parents, yung shielding them from any difficulty, ang kala nila that's being a good parent. No? That's being a good parent. Or yung what happens sometimes in some schools, 'di ba? Pag ang anak nila tumatakbo for valedictorian, 'di ba? Pag ang anak nila tumatakbo for valedictorian, the parents become so obsessed with the numbers, with the status, the competition between the salutatorian and the valedictorian standing becomes very fierce. Parang nagiging magkaaway pa yung hindi lang yung anak, pati yung mga magulang. And at the back of the mind of the parents, they think they're being good parents because they just want the best for their child. Yeah, pero not at the point of it ends up to be like that. There's animosity. There is toxicity. I mean, it becomes toxic. But again, please don't forget, at the back of the mind of the parents, they really just want to be a good parent. Ang feeling nila is that is how they're going to be good parents, that they are going to make their child the best. Okay, they need help there. But we need to understand, and many of you know this already, parenting is very difficult. Parenting is very tough. And it's getting harder. Harder because of the pandemic, harder because of the technocentric lifestyle of the young people. Let me repeat that. Parenting is becoming harder in a special way because of the technocentric lifestyle of the young people. Their life seems to be now revolving around technology, gadgets, Wi-Fi, internet, social media, everything like around there. No? And some parents didn't grow up with the computer, didn't grow up with a cell phone. And so nagka-clash yung kanilang understanding of how life should be and how these young people now are living their life that is centered on technology. It's harder. Not to mention, ibang-iba na ang mindset ng mga kabataan ngayon. Ibang klase ang kanila, pati values nila nag-iiba. And so you now have that challenge among many parents. And at a certain point, what I'm seeing is some parents find it very difficult to tell their child, stop playing computer games. Stop being addicted to the gadget. Stop the Netflix movie marathon that you're doing. That's not healthy. Get enough sleep. Ayan, because some parents even have a hard time telling their children to sleep. I mean, to sleep and get enough sleep because some of them prefer to be online and can be online the whole time and spending inordinate amount of time in front of the screen because that's their happiness. In many houses, yun yung away lagi, the parents telling the kid to get out of the computer. And so please admit it, parenting has become harder because of the environment, because of the lifestyle of the young people, because of the mindsets. Not to mention, here's another thing that makes parenting difficult: the pressure for the parents to provide for a comfortable life for the family. The pressure has become higher. I mean, ang lakas ng pressure. For example, sasabihin ng anak mo sa'yo, Daddy, hindi pwedeng mahina ang internet natin. Kailangan fiber, kailangan converge, kailangan yung talagang high-speed internet. I need it for my subjects. I need it for my... That's added expense. And then, sasabihin, hindi na pwede yung computer na ginagamit ko. Kailangan ko ng bago na, yung mas high-tech. Kasi marami ng school outputs I'm needed to... The pressure to provide for more gadgets, for more expensive stuff. The pressure is higher. And parents now have to work harder to earn more. I mean, just another case. Daddy, hindi pwedeng black and white ang TV natin, ha? Hindi pwedeng 28 inches lang. Kailangan yung 60-inch HD TV. Ayan. Para bang pag maliit lang ang TV mo, ay mahirap lang kami. We are not successful. We are poor. Teka muna, kailan pa naging basehan ang television sa pagiging mayaman at mahirap? I mean, the environment is telling people to buy, to purchase, to upgrade, to get the latest, and that's additional toxic pressure on the part of parents to provide for the family. And then the pandemic hit us. We know many people lost jobs or are underemployed or lost their source of income. That's why it's tough. We have to be very understanding of what the parents are going through. But they continue to be the primary educators of their children. That factor remains the same. They continue to be the ones in charge of raising their children to be good, not just smart, but especially to be good. And so, PAREF put in place a system thanks to the foundational spirit of Saint Josemaria Escriva. Parents first, teachers second, students last, in the order of formation. or in the order of importance of formation. Let me put it this way, kahit anong uh, effort na you put in to make the students understand the importance of Sunday Mass. Let's just give that as an example. Kahit na 5 oras ang lecture mo sa mga students about the importance of going to Mass. Pero pag uwi nila, the parents don't go to Mass on Sundays, or the parents will not bring them to Mass on Sundays, wala. It's not going to happen. You will not be able to make the students go to Mass on Sunday if the students themselves, the children, don't see their parents going to Mass or bringing them to Mass. I mean, that's just a very clear example of, first, we have to convince the parents. Parents, bring your children to the sacraments. Parents, pray before and after meals. Kasi kahit anong turo namin dito sa eskwelahan, children, make sure you pray before and after meals. Pero pag uwi nila sa bahay, it's not part of the custom, it's not part of the family tradition, it is not done by the parents. They're not going to do it. They're not going to practice it. Unless if you have such a sweet child telling the parents, Mom, Dad, can we pray before eating? And we've had experiences like that. It's the children who teach their parents about magdasal tayo, nay, tay, bago tayo kumain. But in the order of primacy, parents, we have to teach them. And then the teachers, who are the ones who will pass on the importance, the important lessons to the students. And only in the third will come the students. Okay, so sabi ni Professor Dave Riley, here are the characteristics of effective parenting improvement programs. Number 1, it's got to be long-term. Okay? Yung sinabi ko kanina, have a parent orientation. But that cannot just be the only program we have, parent orientation. It will have to be long-term. So, in some cases, schools offer parenting talks. I know some schools to take advantage of the parents coming to school to get the report cards. Yan. They are made to attend a talk given by an invited speaker on how to understand your child's digital lifestyle. Ayan. Or understanding the raising children of character in the digital world. Yan. So they take advantage of the card distribution. Parents, please come, receive the talk, and then afterwards, you will go to the room of your class advisor to claim the report cards of your children. If you don't come to the talk, then you will not be able to get the card. So they dangle it like that in front of the parents. But it's got to be long term. Now, if you cannot do it because, ay, Mr. Rentoy, wala kaming budget. Ang hirap maghanap ng magaling na speaker. Wala kami talagang hindi namin kaya magbayad ng Okay, there are so many fantastic articles on parenting. And then we calendar it every month. Let us send reading materials by email, libre ang email, to the parents. Or we have a virtue of the month and we send a memo to the parents. This is our virtue of the month. Here are 5 concrete suggestions on how you can help your child live the virtue at home. And we will do it every month. And we will do it year after year. As the kid goes up the higher years, we look for more how do you call that, more appropriate articles, age appropriate articles. So for high school students, ito ang mga reading materials we can give the parents. For grade school kids, this is the set for the parents. So it's age appropriate. Specific, fits place and subculture that we are living in Philippine setting. So we cannot just be giving articles written by Americans, for example. I mean, okay, there are many articles that Americans wrote that are also applicable for us. But what I'm saying is what we pass on to the parents will have to be based on the prevailing culture here in Metro Manila, in the Philippines. Yan. Okay? Yun daw ang characteristics according to Professor David Riley. Meron pa siyang binanggit. Staff. Staff have interpersonal empathy. That we ourselves, among ourselves, we have that. We consider, because character is is caught, not taught. There. That's what we want to say here. Students in the first place have to learn kindness. They have to learn and understand and appreciate kindness based on what they see in the adults. And when they come to school, the adults are the teachers, the staff, the people in the office, the auxiliary staff, how we have empathy for each other, the students will pick that up. Okay, and then what works in parenting support? High attention to implementation issues to promote attendance and lasting engagement. I mentioned earlier, I never would have problems getting my parents to come for the PQF, for the Parents Quarterly Forum. That is an example of how we address being able to achieve good attendance. We have to find ways and means that we can get to the parents and make them realize or make them appreciate what we are offering them, and they will engage, they will support, they will collaborate. Okay, key content for parent education. There should be few, but high impact. Few because these are parents, and most of them are professionals working. And to get them out of their office to come to our school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, for example, to attend a talk, naku, it means leaving the office. It means going through the traffic to be able to get to the venue. Now that we have these things online, that we can do this online, that greatly facilitates things. This should not be as difficult as it was in the online in the face-to-face setup. And then you don't have to schedule the talks for the parents, for example, on school working hours. A Saturday morning, for example, I've been giving many parenting talks lately. They prefer the Saturday morning. Some even at a time like this on a Saturday afternoon, where they will not have to miss work. They will not have to skip office. They will not have to get out of traffic. So to take advantage of this situation, few but high impact. That's why I mentioned only the 4 that we require the parents to attend a year. And we've been doing it for decades. We already have even a program. What are the topics for grade 1? 3 topics. Kasi the 4th one is father and son. And then for grade 2, this will be covered by grade. That's why in Southridge, for graduation, the parents also have their own graduation. It's like they also receive a diploma having attended 3 talks times the number of years that they've been with us. So if the son was there from grade 1 to grade 12, that's 12, 24, 36 talks that they have attended. They will receive a diploma that they have finished the parenting program of the school. So what do we pass on to them? General principles and effective practices of parenting. That's why it's good to have a pool of speakers who can talk about parenting topics. And then very important component, of course, is, let me see, I will have to mute. Sorry. Very important, of course, is talks or formation on how to help build the character of their children. Number three, psychological learning aspects, how to help the students in their academic performance, understanding their developmental psychology. What's the mindset of a kid this age? What are the changes expected of a teenager? That's one of the topics, for example, given to parents in our parenting program. One of the talks is that, no, understanding the pubescent boy. And then later on, understanding the adolescent boy. What are the traits of an adolescent and what to expect of his attitude? That's part of psychological learning aspects. And then special training needs that can be specific to some ages. For example, if it's the first communion level, grade one, then the one of the talks they're going to receive there is going to be about how to help your child prepare for first communion, or in grade 7, grade 6, how to prepare your child for confirmation, and then later on, how to prepare your child for college, those who are preparing to be in the graduating batch, or special training needs like how to cope with the um, gadget addiction. What to do if your child is so immersed in technology that he is actually addicted to gadgets, technology, and technological lifestyle. Those are all part of special training needs. So those are the four aspects: few but high impact. General principles. Here are some things to pass on to the parents and make them realize their grave responsibility and the purpose or goal of human life. That's high topic that, of course, we assume that parents are supposed to know this, but no, I have been wrong too many times. Some parents do not fully understand the grave responsibility and the purpose and goal of human life. And then to find ways of being able to strengthen the unity between spouses. And then um, characteristics and virtues of people in authority. For example, it can just be a one-pager, a one-page handout, memo, reading material that we can pass on to them. Or strategies for a great family. Again, this can just be part of a newsletter that we distribute to the families. Okay, and then the other mention there is age appropriate, and really there are some expectations of parents as their child goes from one stage to another. For example, infancy. The what the child needs is secure attachments derived from parenting. Childhood and adolescence, we need the parents to be authoritative, not authoritarian, not laissez-faire, not indifferent, but authoritative. Meaning to say, they provide high demandingness, they demand, but at the same time, high responsiveness. And then authoritative, to get the child to do what they want them to do without having to resort to shouting, screaming, and yelling. Those are all part of formation in becoming authoritative parent. Not now. In Southridge, we give emphasis to the role of the fathers, especially because it's an all boys school. And research, more and more research tells us about the importance of the role of the father. Not only are fathers influential, sometimes they actually have more influence on kids' development than moms. And some students develop a certain scar in their mindset, in their character, in their values, and because of some problems with the in the relationship with the father sometime when they were younger. Research more and more research tells us the importance of this, of the role of the father. And then building key character strengths. This is, I would be proud to say, this is one of those that we can consider as something that Southridge pioneered, the virtue of the month system, the virtue of the month talks, the getting the students to be thinking virtues throughout the year, and hearing virtues and seeing messages of virtues all around campus. Okay. Children who learn how to control their urges were more successful and happy. This is part of the excuse me. This is part of the findings of this marshmallow test, no, that was done in Harvard, and then it was repeated in Stanford and in many other universities. It's one of the most thorough studies ever made on character. Yeah, you remember the marshmallow test. No, kids were put in a room. They didn't know they were being observed through a one-way mirror. And then an adult comes to give them all two marshmallows each. Everyone was given two marshmallows by the adult. And then the adult tells them, okay, kids, I'm going to leave you now. When I come back, if you have not eaten your marshmallows, you're going to get two more. Okay? So it's like a test of how they can control their urge in not to eat the marshmallow. And then, as soon as the adult leaves the room, some kids immediately ate the marshmallows. Others may pakurot-kurot ng marshmallows before they actually ate it. Some others had self-control and they used strategies in order not to be tempted to eat the marshmallows by turning their back, looking away, looking the other direction, not looking at the marshmallows. Now, that's not yet the study. They repeated that to different groups of kids with different economic backgrounds. And then they followed their life 15 years later. They discovered those who had delayed gratification, they didn't eat the marshmallows, they had self-control, they had temperance, they had delayed gratification, were highly successful, above average performers. While those who did not have delayed gratification, no self-control, no temperance, were below average performers. Some were even failures, and some were even delinquent. And the results showed the same. The results were the same to different economic backgrounds, to different kinds of kids. Conclusion: there's a correlation between self-control and success. There's a big correlation between um, self-control, temperance, and high achievement. That's why, well, the parents will have to be made aware that one of the things they should develop among their kids is self-control if they're going to build their character strengths. Okay, and some other, you will have in your respective school, in your school, your, how do you call that, core values. What are the most important values that you consider that you want your students to learn and to develop? So all schools usually have come up with their mission, vision, and then the core values. That's what you will have to push as your key character strengths. But generally, it's important to develop self-control. It's important to develop fortitude, shown in their resilience and being able to face adversities, their ability to face challenges, and then faith. We have to make sure the young people grow up with faith, with the fear of God, with the deep appreciation for the importance of prayer and life of prayer, faith, sacraments, life of prayer, and life of faith, and being able to use the sacraments. That's, in fact, we would consider as the most important aspect of parenting. I mean, if we go back to why did God make us and why did God make parents able to bring about children, it is to create a whole new generation of saints. In the end, that's what we, as well as parents, really are supposed to do, to create the next generation of souls that will inhabit heaven, that will be in heaven. um, a special emphasis now on the importance of building chastity among our young people, because the kind of world they're growing up in is crazy. It's a sex crazed world where many songs are about sex and casual sex and free sex, and MTVs you watch that don't have any modesty, sense of modesty and purity and chastity, like as if chastity belongs to the Middle Ages and the modern man is, if there is love, you go to bed with whomever you want. This is the kind of world the young people are growing up in. Well, if you're going to raise good people, one of the important things we need to plant in them, instill in them, is chastity, purity, modesty. And then we mentioned psychological learning support. Well, Queen Alichu was key findings. She discovered many parents tutor their children until grades 4 or 5. But in the upper grades, parents act more as guides. They spend at least an hour a day with their child. This is generally what we have in the Philippines now. Part of the formation we have to give to the parents is to make sure these things are there if they are going to produce successful children. Um, the fact remains, though, that there are some parents who cannot make themselves available, not even an hour a day, not even to tutor their children until grades 4 and 5, because they are too busy with work, because they are. So we have situations like that when we need to remind parents it will help if you really exert the effort to make yourself available. Then this one we mentioned earlier, the special training needs that we can pass on to the parents, navigating digital communications. And then a study by Likwanan, Filipino Strengths and Weaknesses, a must read for Filipino educators and parents. So not all these will have to be given through talks, through seminars, through conferences. Some of them can be passed on as a memo, a newsletter, a reading material. But of course, if you are like a school that really puts premium in that one, well, even in the miscellaneous fees, you already include there the 3 parenting talks they will have to attend. The part of the budget that will have to be spent on making sure there is budget for the parenting talks. And the parents should see that from the outset, they should see that, wow, this school really puts premium on helping parents, on forming parents, on getting the parents to collaborate. The program is such that it's clearly spelled out there, the expectations, and then it's um, made even more visible by the calendar that by which we are asked to come at certain times of the day. Okay, finally, how to give effectively to the parents, andragogical, meaning to say interactive, participative, not simply top down, giving lectures, addresses real needs of the parents, and then practical, that there are things that they can take home and try, tips that will make the parents start actually doing things at home differently because of what they learned from you, from the school, from the speaker, from the handout, from the newsletter. And then it's good to use parent discussion group. Southridge also, Paref schools use this to do the edu-child system, where you have small groups of parents gathering together to discuss certain issues on a case study basis. Like they did a case of a teenager going through this problem. What would you do if you were in that situation? What would you do if your son starts doing these things? And so it's through a discussion system. Okay, well, it is now 3:57, and I wouldn't want to um, delay you for too long. I have been waiting if there will be a question that will be posted in the chat box. Um, there is none, so there is none that I can answer at this point. But the PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to pass on to you, all of you, hopefully will be able to get a copy of it. I'm going to pass it on to your principal. Will include the last part on how to start the process of parent engagement in your school. Um, Although I already made mention of many of the things that you can start doing, the parent orientation, for example, the calling them for how do you call this, parenting talks, writing them a letter, um, introducing yourself on a class advisor level, for the class advisor to be the lead in connecting with the parents, getting to know them, getting them to know you better, and then getting to know them. If you have not done the um, filling up the information sheet so that you get to know a lot more about the students and about the parents, then there's no problem with doing it middle of the school year. I mean, you don't have to wait for the start of the next school year to be able to do that, but to actually um, do something even by Monday next week, for example, to start with something that will enable you to reach out to the parents, because in the end, that effort of simply reaching out to them by itself is a very, very positive sign, and it's a hallmark of a great school. That's one of the first things I mentioned at the start of this talk. A hallmark of a great school is its effort to reach out to the parents and to make them real partners, real collaborators, not just clients in the other side of the fence, but that we make them see that, hey, the formation of your children cannot be done just by the school. In fact, you are the primary educators. We are just here to help you, to support you, to collaborate with you.